In 1930, 53-year-old Karl Tanzler became enamored with 21-year-old Elena de Hoyos, who was terminally ill with tuberculosis in a Florida hospital. Tanzler was convinced that Elena was the love of his life and spared no effort to save her. He experimented with various remedies, as well as advanced medical equipment. Although his attempts were unsuccessful, he refused to accept her passing and ensured that Elena would always remain by his side, even though she had already passed away. This is the unsettling tale of Karl Tanzler, who harbored an affection for a deceased woman and took extraordinary measures to preserve her in his company. In 1930, Elena de Hoyos was admitted to the U.S. Marine Hospital in Key West, Florida for tuberculosis treatment. Elena's medical condition had a bleak prognosis, however. Karl Tanzler, an X-ray technician who referred to himself as Count Karl von Kozel, was determined to do whatever he could to save the 21-year-old woman's life. Despite lacking medical qualifications, Karl used his skills to attempt to help Elena. During his youth in Germany, Karl frequently dreamt of an ideal mate. In these striking visions, Karl consistently envisioned the same gorgeous young lady whose beauty captivated him. Upon encountering Elena de Hoyos in the hospital, Tanzler was convinced that she was the same woman who had appeared in his dreams. He bestowed gifts and expensive X-ray equipment onto her and her family, and repeatedly professed his love to her. Despite his desperate efforts, Elena passed away a few months later at the age of 22. Although Elena's opinion of Karl Tanzler remains unclear, it is noteworthy that she was 3 decades his junior and already married at the time of their acquaintanceship. The death of Elena should have marked the end of their story, yet it did not. Tanzler managed to convince Elena's family to permit him to purchase a sizable stone mausoleum at Key West Cemetery, to which they consented. A mortician fastidiously prepared Elena's remains and then secured them within the stone tomb. However, unbeknownst to the family, her body's interment in the mausoleum was short-lived. Unknown to the family of Elena de Hoyos, Karl Tanzler was the sole possessor of the key to Elena's tomb, and he did not hesitate to begin visiting her regularly. For 2 years, Tanzler visited her grave each night to spend time with his deceased love. He would sing Spanish songs to her and repeatedly propose marriage. To Tanzler, he believed he was communicating with Elena's spirit rather than simply speaking to a lifeless body. Ultimately, the spirit requested that Karl Tanzler remove her from the mausoleum. Tanzler, being a man in love, could not refuse her request. In April 1933, 2 years after Elena's death, Tanzler transported her corpse from the mausoleum to his home using a toy wagon. There, he endeavored to preserve her remains using coat hangers and wire to reinforce her bones and rags to support her torso. He also applied strips of silk cloth to areas where her flesh was decomposing. The odor presented a significant challenge. Tanzler utilized formaldehyde and an abundance of perfume to mitigate what must have been a nauseating scent. The quantity of perfume was fortunate because Tanzler did not merely encase Elena behind a glass shield for display. What Tanzler maintained with his deceased lover could only be described as an exceptionally intimate relationship. He outfitted her entirely, complete with jewelry and a wig. He escorted her out, danced with her and slept with her each night in his bed. But the most unsettling aspect was undoubtedly the paper tube that Tanzler inserted into Elena de Hoyos's vagina, suggesting a possible physical component to their relationship. Sadly for Tanzler, he was unable to conceal his clandestine lover indefinitely. After a few years, his neighbors began to suspect that something was awry within the elderly gentleman's residence. It was apparent that Tanzler was purchasing numerous presents, perfume, jewelry, ladies' attire, for somebody, but no woman was discernible in his life. However, one of his neighbors caught sight of Tanzler pirouetting around his living quarters with Elena. At that moment, they couldn't be wholly confident about what they had witnessed. However, it would not take long for the truth to be revealed. This occurred when Florinda, the sister of Elena, visited Tanzler and discovered her deceased sibling lying on his bed. Florinda was appalled by the discovery and immediately contacted the authorities, resulting in the prompt arrest of Karl Tanzler. Tanzler was charged with grave robbing and subsequently put on trial. One might assume that such a case would be straightforward. Given that there were only a few ways Elena de Hoyos's corpse could have made its way into Karl Tanzler's bed, it seems unlikely. Nevertheless, during the trial, Tanzler garnered unexpected public support. Despite the disturbing nature of his deeds, many individuals regarded him as an affectionate elderly man who was willing to do whatever it takes for love. In the end, the verdict was irrelevant since Karl Tanzler was released when his case surpassed the statute of limitations. The trial exposed the intensity of Karl Tanzler's love or obsession for Elena de Hoyos. During his testimony, he confessed to his plan of taking her to the stratosphere so that the radiation from outer space could revive her sleepy body. He even constructed an airship in his backyard for this purpose. After the trial, instead of being ostracized or shunned, Karl von Cosel appeared to live a peaceful and quiet life. He went on to author an autobiography titled The Secret of Elena's Tomb, The Confessions of Karl von Cosel, and later became a citizen of the United States in 1950. In the meantime, Elena de Hoyos' corpse was transferred from Tanzler's residence to a funeral home and subsequently laid to rest in the Key West Cemetery in an unmarked grave. It is hoped that her remains are now secure from any further unsavory attention. Certainly the story of Karl Tanzler and Elena de Hoyos is intriguing and full of passion, obsession, and the endless pursuit of love. Such a narrative evokes various emotions and makes us reflect on the limits of human love. On our channel, Brain Outside the Box, we explore fascinating stories like this that challenge our understanding and make us question human nature. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, Brain Outside the Box, and activate notifications so you don't miss any episodes. Additionally, if you enjoyed this story and want to explore more content like this, please like and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. Bye.